Hello, hello. This is Dr. David Pascal talking to you from the Pascal Health Institute in Cary, North Carolina. It is a gorgeous spring day, and I am here to talk to you about all things CRPS, all things complex regional pain syndrome. And today, specifically, we're going to talk about why are there more women, females, that have CRPS than males? Very, very good question. First off, we do want to say that CRPS is fairly rare. It's estimated that there are only about 50,000 new cases of complex regional pain syndrome occurring every year. Most doctors have never seen it. Lots of docs aren't even familiar with it, haven't heard of it. And so it can take a while to get diagnosed. And the biggest issue, besides they just haven't seen it, is really the population, because we are looking at about 80% of the people with CRPS are female. They come in presenting with, unbearable pain. And our Western medical conglomerate factory is primarily men. And so you have a woman coming into the ER or into the doctor's office complaining of unchartable, horrendous pain that is not equal to the onset. In other words, someone has sprained their ankle or broke a bone in their foot. Tens of thousands of people do this every day across the United States. But, in comes this woman and she sprained her ankle or broke a bone in her foot. And she's not saying, oh, it hurts, it's a 9 or a 10. She's saying, oh, this is the worst pain imaginable, off the chart. And right from the get-go, she is dismissed as hysterical, as a, exaggerator purely because of her sex. This does lead to elongation in the amount of time that it takes to diagnose. This is a built-in prejudice into our system. Even female doctors are prejudiced based on the research against women who complain what they feel is inappropriate to their onset of trauma. Well, that's a whole nother subject to talk about, that education and bias, but it is there, and it is something that we should have in the background for this conversation. But for the purposes of this conversation, why are more women actually having CRPS than men? It comes down to two things: hormones and immune system. So let's talk about hormones first. We all know that men have about 20 times more testosterone than women. Conversely, women have about 5 to 10 times more estrogen than men. And what I have found with the men that come in to see me is that they are, with CRPS, they have very low testosterone, much higher levels of estrogen. The women that are coming in with CRPS, they are also having much higher levels of estrogen. Well, why is that? Well, not necessarily why is that, but what is the effect of that? One of the things that estrogen does is it helps control not only our emotional mood, but also nerve sensitivity and brain activity. So when you have elevated levels of estrogen in your body, you're going to have increased brain function, increased sensitivity. So definitely a factor. The other thing that we see with people that have CRPS is that their immune systems are overreactive, not usually underreactive. They're hyperactive. So we see people with high prevalence of autoimmune disease. This means their own immune system is attacking itself. And we know that in autoimmune disease, it is about 80% of people with autoimmune disease are women, only 20% are men. So again, it's stacked against women. Why do more women have autoimmune disease? Well, it's probably from the XX chromosome, right? So we have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome, and men have one X and one Y. Women have two X's. In general, of course, we have genetic mutation, but let's just talk about the vast majority. And the X chromosome has many more genes for immune system activity. So women are predisposed to have more immune system activity. This is probably because historically, who takes care of the family? The woman, right? The woman is at home nurturing and protecting the family while the guy is out hunting a saber-toothed tiger or working on Wall Street. About the same. And so it's much more important for the woman to stay healthy because she's got to bear children, she's got to raise children, she's got to protect children, and we would not exist without, mankind would not exist, the human race would not exist without this historic extra protection from women. Well, there's a price to pay for that, and that price is that those X chromosomes are much more sensitive to the immune system, so women tend to have a more robust immune system in general, so they get sick less, which is why there are all those memes about whiny men like, oh, I have a cold, which is certainly totally true. Guys totally fall apart when they have the slightest little thing, where women are so stoic, and that is a gene thing, genetic thing. But the other part of it is because the women have a genetic predisposition to a more active immune system, then that also gives the opportunity for more things to go wrong. And that is what happens quite often, is that the immune system becomes hyperactive and the person's own immune system starts attacking itself. So when your own immune system looks at you and says, you are the enemy, when your own army turns on you and starts attacking you, that is what autoimmune disease is. And we see this very high prevalence in women that have CRPS, and in men as well. They almost all of them have an autoimmune disease, and so we end up with this hyperactive immune system that is attacking itself, not doing its own job correctly. And when you add on to that the hormone imbalance, these are two of the 5 major components that are contributing to CRPS, right? We've talked about this before, that we do have a hormone issue, we have an autoimmune issue, we tend to have an immune system issue in general, which primarily demonstrates itself in the way of allergies and sensitivities. We tend to see people with CRPS, even as a young child, that they had a hypersensitive nervous system. So this manifests itself in terms of sensitivity to sound or taste or smell or texture. And then we also see that the brain itself is generating these pain signals. And again, that is from the estrogen and the double X chromosomes. So women have the court stacked against them when it comes to all of the precursors for complex regional pain syndrome, and this is why there are way more women. Some people say it's as high as 90% women, only 10% men. Some people say it's 20% men, 80% women, but whether it's 10 or 20% men, the vast number of people with CRPS are women. And the majority of those tend to be adults, but we have this large cluster of teenagers and pre-teenage girls. That is a much higher percentage of girls at a younger age than boys. That tends to be only 5%, maybe 10% of CRPS is in male teens and preteens, where it's 90 to 95% female teens and preteens. And again, it goes back to those fluctuating hormones that are going on at a much higher degree as young women are entering and going through puberty. So I hope that this information helps give you more of a context of, hey, why me? Why is it more women? Why is it always the woman that has these problems? This comes back to these genetic markers and our basic initial genetic programming and evolution of roles historically as man has developed on the planet. And so think about all those factors that are impacting your hormones and all those factors that are impacting your immune system. If you do not have CRPS, there's many things that you can do to help normalize hormone levels, boost your immune system, normalize immunologic function as protective mechanisms to lower your risk of getting CRPS. And of course, all of those other factors that contribute to CRPS, like being hypersensitive, those things can be minimized with lots of different treatment approaches. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, I'm very easy to get a hold of. You can call me. I'm at 919-380-8000. We are in Cary, North Carolina. You can Google Dr. David Pascal or the Pascal Health Institute, and I will show up. And our email address is drpascalhelps@gmail.com, and our website is www.drpascal.com. So I hope you found this helpful. If I can help you in any way, we always offer free Zoom calls, 20-minute calls to answer questions that people have. So call us, text us, email us. Be glad to help you, support you in any way that we can. All right. For now, take care, and we'll see you on the next live.